Hey guys, I have no idea what happened there. Welcome, happy Friday. Um, it is hilarious because I'm actually, for those of you who are watching, doing the show with Jesse later on, the visitor show. Sorry, the member show, not the visitor show. You can see I'm completely deurmekaar hier. Die hele wat Afrikaans verstaan. And my task is to watch Harry Potter. I'm busy watching Harry Potter in the background, so I'm convinced that was Harry Potter. Because the next thing I was just off. Anyway, wow, really good to see you all. Happy Friday, and yeah, it's yeah. What can we say? Magical Friday, apparently. Good to see everyone in the chat. Daisy, Lisa D, everybody. Nice to see you guys. Yeah, so wow. Interesting little topic I think we're going to be chatting about today. So now that I can get myself all centered again after I've been the victim of Harry Potter. We're going to be talking about even more. Well, I wouldn't say Harry Potter's creepy, but we're going to be talking about, yeah, a couple of, well, one topic in particular, which is very, very interesting, which is this real sexual charge that is being used throughout social media right now. From whether it's obviously in our communities, we hear a lot about the small humans and what happens with them, right? And of course, we understand there's a lot of programming, there's a lot of that beta kitty programming, the monarch programming. There's so many different forms of programming that they're using in the system currently. But, on women, girls, trained, so I thought I really wanted to have a look at this because this topic in particular, especially with the Bonnie Blue, and the other one, I think her name is Lily Phillips. Sorry, Lily Phillips. Lily Palmer's a dancer. She's not Lily Phillips. Okay, and the one apparently, according to them, now please, this is what they are saying. So, what I'm looking up, so none of these claims have been verified by anyone else other than them, right? So, this is what they are claiming. Now, for me, a lot of things don't quite add up, but hey, we're going to figure it out and let's see what they really are trying to do with that. But before that, as well, we're looking at how do these places, these sites, these porn sites, these children's, especially young girls and boys, how is it that they are being so exploited, and who is exploiting them, right? Who are the ones creating these sites? Because that's something that I think is really, really important for all of us to understand. And then, of course, there's now OnlyFans for teens as well. So I think what we're going to be looking at is just like a sequence of events or sequence of not events. How, first, who is the owners or the creators of these sites? What are the sites, right? Um, and this OnlyFans for teens, and what are they being groomed into? What are they being groomed into? Because right now, what we're seeing is this complete sexual shock. The shock value is what we are being fed right now on so many levels. So, yeah, I think let's have a look at the first one and we just look at who are these guys that are doing these sites. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy to see you all. Cool. So let's.
Out of all the businesses you guys could buy, why did you guys target buying Pornhub? Yeah, so we saw an extraordinary opportunity. The fact that it's newsworthy or noteworthy that we've made the acquisition, that should tell you that this is a space that has not had mainstream investment, right? That it's a space. I always said, when we looked at the business, it's a business that's legal. Not only is it legal, but in every Western democracy, it's constitutionally protected. It could not be outlawed, even if you wanted to, but it doesn't have that legitimacy. And one of the reasons for that, and as we started to examine the business further, was that nobody wanted to say we are the owners of a major adult company, right? Everyone, they wanted the benefits of owning a major adult company. It's a profitable business, but nobody wanted to be out front and engaging with other tech businesses, with government, with law enforcement, with regulation in that sort of way that the modern tech industry has to. So we saw in that this arbitrage opportunity, right? Where if people who come from the mainstream professional networks, whether it's law enforcement, tech, finance, et cetera, this is an opportunity to really bring this industry into the 21st century. We saw an extraordinary opportunity to do that with this, this jewel of an asset, Pornhub, but obviously with the entire company.
I love it. You said jewel of an asset. So I'm going to give you some stats here that we see. So one, it says 2018, Pornhub alone witnessed a jaw-dropping 5.8 billion hours of content consumption, which, by the way, is kind of strange because most men should only be watching for a minute or two, right? But this is like when you hear 5.8 billion
no,
hours.
Patrick, our average visit is about 10 and a half minutes.
They probably got off the computer and they left the website on, but there's a different story there. So that's nearly 665 centuries of material over a single platform in just 1 year. Here's another one for you. The world was flocking to Pornhub in 2018 with a whopping 63,992 new visitors per minute. Is that true? 63,992 new visitors per month.
Doesn't sound unreasonable.
33.5 billion visitors. Insane, right? Mm-hmm. And the most popular day to visit Pornhub is Sunday. You guys got all these different stats. And you even put up a stat recently on which state consumed the least while the election was going on and who was committed to it. So you're also involved in the election stuff that's going on, right? But at the same time, you got a petition. I think something came out that says more than 2.2. Thank you so much, Kelly. More than 2.2 million people have signed an online petition to shut down the site. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that the topic of pornography has always been a divisive one. I think it has to do with the topic of sexuality in general, right? There are always going to be different views about human sexuality, and pornography is just emblematic of those. In fact, it's a little more public. It's more in your face. That's the nature of it. It's sex for the public. So you're going to have people who have really deeply held convictions about the proper place of sex in our society, and that's a good debate. There's nothing wrong with that debate. But you take 2.5 million signatures, we have 130 million daily active users. So people have voted with their mice and with their feet in terms of where they're going to go. But of course, it's going to be a subject of public debate.
Okay, I want to just let's pop that up if we can. Fly again. There we go. So let's have a look at this. The gentleman that we've just seen interviewed there. All right. I think that was Rabbi Solomon Friedman. Now, when we go hashtag Jewish, please understand we are not talking about the average Jewish person. I want to just lay that out there. I'm not an anti-Semite. I never have been. I never will be. And none of us on this platform are. That's our disclaimer. But we are looking at more and more things. And I want to sort of maybe replace the Jewish with a Zionist, because I think we're understanding more and more what's happening here. So who owns OnlyFans? Leonard Radvinsky, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's a Ukrainian businessman, billionaire businessman living in America right now. Who owns the most porn websites? Rabbi Solomon Friedman. That's the guy we've just seen being interviewed. Because why? There's money in it, right? Does it matter that you are getting 64,000 visitors a minute? Wow. Who founded Tinder? Sean Rad, Zionist. Who founded Grindr? Joel Simkai. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. I hope I've said that correctly. And Bumble, all Zionists, right? For me, I think the greatest shocker here is the fact that we have a rabbi who is openly boasting about owning these porn sites, which we're going to go into the whole structure of the harvesting, the handlers, the energy harvesting, in just a little bit towards, once we've gone through this. But for me, again, what this is showing, it's these elite males, right? Owning and controlling the narrative when it comes to predominantly, I'm not saying all, predominantly young women exploiting their bodies, exploiting their sexuality, exploiting their souls. Literally, that's what's happening here. The mass exploitation on this type of thing is huge. So I want us to just have a look now at what's happening with the teenagers. So we see how the grooming, now what we've seen there is the people responsible who own these matchmaking services and hookup sites, porn sites, right? And now we see how they start grooming the young women. So I think it's this one here.
You're not going to believe this. There's a platform out there being called the OnlyFans for Kids. What? Bro, I almost spit out my drink when I first heard this. Most parents have never heard of it, but your kid might actually be on it. Bro, if my kid, if they ever, let me explain what's actually going on, because once you hear this, you're going to be infuriated. So Brand Army was promoted as a safe alternative to OnlyFans, but the business model is basically identical. Paid subscriptions, private messaging, tipping, and exclusive photos and videos behind a paywall. The only difference is the branding. They market themselves as influencer friendly and lifestyle focused, but journalists found that creators as young as 13 years old are being promoted on it. Let that sink in for a moment. This is a platform where adults can pay minors for exclusive photos, videos, and private messaging. Now, the crazy part is that you can join this platform as young as 13. And they have a policy of how many bikini/revealing photos you can post. So basically, if you post a revealing or explicit photo or video, you have to post 2 or 3 normal photos after. And the other part is, to subscribe to their content, you have to be 18 years old. If you didn't know how 2025 can get any worse, this might take the cake. Now, the controversy exploded when an influencer, Danielle Kahn, widely believed to be 13 to 15 at the time, launched a Brand Army account. She promoted lingerie-style photos, exclusive content, and private messaging. And the platform allowed it. Agencies pushed it, and adults paid for it. Child safety advocates called it exactly what it is: a grooming pipeline disguised as influencer monetization. And what's terrifying is, behind the paywall, moderation is basically non-existent. That means someone can pay money to message a minor privately with zero oversight. Experts are warning that Brand Army isn't just a problem, it's a blueprint for future exploitation. Recruit younger influencers early, build a paying fan base, and then push them to adult content the second they turn 18. By the way, there's no federal law regulating this. So the real question becomes, if a platform can legally let adults pay for minor suggestive content and private access today, but stopping the next one from going even further.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. Rita, I agree. Rabbi, I believe, means father. That one likes to think he's father of many, many young girls by the looks of things. So there we have it already. I mean, that clip is absolutely 100% self-explanatory, because there we young girls, okay, well, you can't post all provocative or explicit stuff, normal pics between your bikini pics, 18 plus website only, right? But yet you're getting content from 13-year-old girls. What does that say to you? It's so true, Claudia. The sexualization of society is all part of spiritual warfare. Absolutely. We're seeing this more and more now. It's always been in many ways, such a taboo topic, lots of things hidden. And if once, and done in a clandestine way, no one knows, no one sees, people are judged for these things. And now, of course, what I found actually very interesting was having a conversation with one of the survivors I know. She hasn't spoken publicly, but has been in the system, and we have great conversations around her experiences. And what she said to me was, now I must remember this correctly, so I hope I'm remembering it correctly, but I think I am. Of course, these guys work with timelines, right? They know how to jump timelines and go into the future, changing things in the past, etc. Now, with that, I think we're becoming quite au fait in understanding. So at this time, on the particular timeline that we've been on, rituals were huge in dark magic. So lots of rituals for spell casting, to have things go in a certain way, to get humanity dumbed down in a certain way, etc., right? So now, as we get to the end of this timeline, right, and the new timeline for them is to have women much more like males. And that just struck me because, wow, that would make a lot of sense, especially when we're looking at the sex industry, because there's such an explosion of anger, especially in young women who have obviously been frustrated, violated, haven't had great male guidance, because that is essential for a young woman to have a positive male role model in her life. So yes, sorry, is this La Tourist Viva? I think that's what I'm seeing there. Absolutely. For 7 years or thereabouts. And part of the rituals they're doing, as we're going to see now, is harvesting the male essence as well, which is very interesting. So with the new timeline beginning, the woman, they want the females to be much more masculine, which also looks, when we're looking again at the gender inversions they've been doing for such a long time, right? And now with this as well, where women are saying, well, my sense of empowerment is using my body in the way in which I choose to. And that means I can unalive as many unborn fetuses inside me as I desire. I can sleep with as many men or women or whatever else I might sleep with every time I desire that. It's my body. I can do with my body as I choose. That is my sense of identity. So you have no right to tell me what to do, how to think, etc. Now, I can understand that. I really do understand that reaction, especially when we're looking at the suppression for many years of the feminine. Now, this is not about men and women, okay? It manifests as men and women, yes, but the feminine energy or the emotional energy has been suppressed for such a long time. So the suppression of that energy creates a whole lot of distorted manifestations, as we are seeing now, where women have lost their sense of that core identity of being the creatrix, the one who creates. And there is no creature, no being more magical in God's magic, right? Not distorted magic, right? The magic that is God, the magic that is life, the miracle that is you, right? And I'm talking about it in that essence. So we are the creators of life. There's nothing more amazing than that. And we need to reclaim that. Because as long as we haven't reclaimed the essence of who we are in that way, we will continue externally to sell ourselves short and sell ourselves, our bodies, for whatever. And yes, we might think that right now you get a high price for who and what you are because you've got the asset. There's hundreds of plastic surgeons out there, like just busy around the clock, making girls as perfect as what they think Barbie should be, because this is the new body positive. Remember, it's my body. I'm allowed to do what I want. So this is all the whole body positive agenda that's out there. So what I want us to maybe have a look at now, Mona, if you can just pop the other one, the next one up, if you don't mind, please. Thank you.
Night of my 18th birthday, 1 minute past midnight, I got to work. I filmed all the content, and it's finally coming out tomorrow.
You just watched a young influencer brag about opening her OnlyFans account the day after she turned 18. One of the fans stated that he has been waiting since 2018, which would have made her 11 years old. If that's not disturbing enough, in the first 3 hours of opening the account, she made over $1 million. That money equals men who buy that content. We have to admit that as a society, we are porn sick. Our social media and OnlyFans culture has really started to sexualize children. Our boys are exposed to more violent porn than ever before. And there's much more child porn being made and shared than ever in history. We have to start doing better as a society to protect our children.
I mean, again, that now follows on because these girls are being groomed, right? It follows on from Brand Army, where you're being groomed, and you have men over 18 gawking at you and messaging you and paying you and making you think that your body is such a perfect asset, right? It's this money-making machine. Now, here's that young girl who, the eve of her 18th birthday, she is so excited to be putting explicit adult content out there. And as you heard, makes $1 million. I mean, what a price for selling your soul. That may sound judgmental, but I say that purely because I've been a healer in my experience for more than 30 years now. I've worked with many, many, many people from different walks of life. One thing I do know is that the woman and her sensuality and her sexuality is sacred to her in its healthy essence. A woman will, in her healthy essence, will connect with a guy on that level intimately, a man, for two reasons: to procreate and to connect emotionally. That's how she expresses emotionally. That's in a healthy way, right? Unfortunately, as we know by now, what happens in the system is the first thing that gets distorted is the emotional connection. So those emotions that are supposed to be healthy, strong, flowing in the lower triad, the lower three chakras, are now stuck. It becomes a swamp. And you have no idea energetically actually what's in there. So when a woman starts selling herself in that way, every time it's like she loses a bit of the connection to the essence of who she truly is. And when she does that, of course, like anything else, she's going to leave her energy, her aura, her chakras wide open. And she leaves that wide open for any dodgy entity to enter and again hitchhike and use her body as a vessel. That's exactly what starts happening as well. Same thing with everything else, really. When you give your power away, when you have no idea of what you're really doing, when you are ignorant to these things. And if you guys listened to my show with Jesse the other day when we were talking about, I think one of them, I can't remember which one, but we did mention that a lot of the girls in the breeder programs that they use in the breeder programs are groomed for exactly this. So what I believe and what we're being told, and again, I cannot confirm or deny this, but this is what we're hearing, is that a lot of the girls that are in the OnlyFans are actually bred for this. They're part of the breeder programs, and they are bred for OnlyFans to be these objects of desire for males. And more we're seeing it, and younger, and it's becoming more and more okay to do it the younger the girls are. Look at that, 13 years old, and you're on an 18 plus site, right? And you can put bikini pictures now and again, but 3 decent ones between. So let's get a little bit naughty first, shall we? And then let the men encourage you. These disgusting old creeps sitting in your chats there. Oh, just the energy of those sexual energy vampires on those poor young girls, because energy can never be created or destroyed, only ever transferred or transformed. So the energy they are transferring just through their lust on those young girls is horrific. I mean, when we understand how energy works, we see how that siphon and that sucking machine starts working. So yeah, that's the next step. Okay, so now let's have a look at the 2 ladies in question. The ones we were talking about earlier.
My assistant's currently going through the 5,000 applications we have. It will take place in England.
Yeah.
They'll be getting, honestly, as quick as possible in, out. I just want a conveyor belt.
Right.
So as in, like, we're hoping to get it done a lot before the 24 hours. We're maybe thinking most it'll be 17 hours.
After you did the 100.
Yeah.
And you actually seemed quite distressed.
I was extremely overwhelmed. It was very, very intense.
Okay, that was her after she had slept with 100 guys in a day. And she's speaking about that then. And now she was going to do 1,000 in 24 hours. She ended up doing, according to what she's saying, 1,057 in 12 hours, right? And I'm like, my gosh, how is that mathematically even possible? Because there's 144,000 seconds in a day, right? Or minutes. Is it minutes? Yes. Minutes. Seconds. But I don't know, I can't remember, and I'm getting confused because that would have given them in 1,000 guys over 24 hours, 1 minute and 44 seconds with her. And that is with every, that's no pee break, no poo break, no water break, no sleep break, no nothing. So for me, that didn't even seem mathematically possible, I guess, at a huge stretch. But let's think about this as women. To have 1,000 men penetrate you in one day. My question is that even possible for the human body, right? Is that even possible for the human body to be able to do that? And of course, we understand in the system, they are constantly grooming girls and getting them to do these gang-bangy things. Absolutely, they do. But 1,000 a day, and started with 100. And now, if that's not bad enough, now the internet is abuzz with Lily Phillips, because Lily Phillips both, and in fact, Mona, is the clip of Lily Phillips. Because my point is, if you look at these girls, there's Lily Phillips and there's Bonnie Blue. They look like it could be the same person. I had to really look to see the difference between them. So what it says to me is that there has been, it's like the specific plastic look, right? That, I don't know, men are groomed to like. The blonde, long blonde hair, curvy, the girls out there, perky butt, whatever, right? Yeah, I agree, Lisa D. What a way to cheapen what should be an extremely personal, intimate relationship. Absolutely. But this is exactly the point. This is why they are doing it, because they're trying to take us away from that. This is why in recent years, there's been such a great emphasis on polyamory, on open relationships, on gender fluidity, gender confusion, right? All of the stuff, everything is just so fluid, right? So these two girls actually look as though they could be twins, or at the very least, sisters. So it just shows me again. And look, do I think that they've had programming? Again, my opinion. There is nothing stating that I've seen this, that anyone has come to me with that. But in my mind, knowing what we know nowadays, it would seem most definitely that there would be some type of a siren programming, maybe, something like that, that these girls are programmed to obviously play out and be a catalyst for all this Loosh harvesting. And we're going to go into that now. Mona, I'm not sure if there's another clip that we needed to put up.
Lily Phillips, the girl who slept with 100 men in one day, just announced that she's pregnant. No. Lily shared a photo of her pregnancy test announcing that a baby is coming in 2025. But this should be taken with a grain of salt because Bonnie Blue, the girl who slept with 1,000 men in 12 hours, also announced that she is apparently pregnant.
I will not be stopping bonking barely legals when I'm pregnant. In fact, I'm super excited to live stream the birth.
That poor child. This is what the baby's gender reveal party is gonna look like with all the potential fathers. I don't think Mario would even be able to find out who the father is. We're gonna need to assemble a whole Avengers just to track down that father. We seriously gotta make some new laws because people like this cannot be having kids.
Nazi, yes, allegedly she has been arrested in Bali. I don't know though. Again, that's according to her social media platforms and what have you. That, from when I checked, no, there was no official arrest record, but apparently she has. But again, we have to look at all of the reasons why they're creating all of these psyops. In my opinion, it's a psyop. Exactly. They don't know who their daddy is. But now again, if we look at that, now they've created these two girls, two absolute sirens, if you will, on the internet, to be feuding with each other about who is the biggest slut. That's really what it's about. Who's the biggest slut? And this has now been glorified. This is being glorified. And now they are both pregnant moms. Now, I just find it interesting, that so many of these celebrities, etc. I mean, my gosh, isn't it amazing how pretty these girls remain at full-term pregnancy or late-term pregnancy? I mean, hey, I've been pregnant, I've given birth. Every woman out there has given birth, absolutely. We pick up weight. Our body changes, our skin changes, everything changes. You've got a little sucker sitting on the inside of you, like taking everything that you ingest, right? Of course, your body changes. Most women pick up quite a bit of weight. Everything changes. But you look at these girls and they look perfectly pregnant. Perfectly pregnant. So again, I would wonder, are they? I mean, it just seems so perfectly timed, and it would then mean that these guys that were enjoying themselves were not wearing condoms. How disgusting is that? I mean, Bonnie Blue was saying in an interview that I watched yesterday while I was doing a little bit of a deeper dive on this, excuse the pun, gosh, that she was servicing 4 guys at the same time. Well, there, and in each one of these, apparently. Now, I mean, shock out there for shock value, right? So for me, it's very interesting when I look at these things, because when we look at this stuff, and I've kind of like done a bit of an analysis on this, and I've looked into this the last few days, because when we're looking at this whole MK Ultra, which is the hard core programming, right? Then you get the MK Often, which is really the demonic or the esoteric programming, and how they've used everything and all the different dimensions that we've not been allowed to have that information, right? But let's have a look at some of what this is, and I'd love to hear some of you here. Nazy sloppy second. Oh yeah. It's like so nasty. I mean, like, wow. Anyway, let me not judge that, because I'm trying my best not to. But I cannot imagine that a woman happily, a healthy woman would happily do that to herself, to her body, her self-respect. I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway, so let's see what this when someone like Bonnie Blue makes these extreme claims, the internet reacts not only because of the event itself, but because of the psychological circuitry it activates. So these stories are always going to activate the following: taboo, which is the mind freezes, then clicks, right? So everyone goes, oh, what the hell? Click. Okay. Outrage. How dare she? That feels like, what do you mean? But like Mia right now, like, what the hell? Right? But I believe also my response is mild compared to what I've seen. People are outraged by this, especially women, right? Voyeurism. So the forbidden draws attention. So anything that is forbidden and seductive, it's going to lure you in if you've not been able to see through that. Yeah. Moral panic. People believe culture is collapsing. I think many of us feel that way, so we all go into moral panic. So let's just make a note of that, shall we? That it's probably a good thing not to go into a moral panic when we see stuff like this, because this is exactly how they harvest our loosh. So this is how they pretty much harvest our loosh, with these things, and this is how they harvest it, through these channels, right? Projection. Everyone unloads their shadow onto her. Oops. Now listen, we're going to be talking a lot about the shadow stuff and the shadow self and the sirens and what that is and how we all project our pain collectively. Because when we're seeing that and we have a reaction to that, we have to understand there's something in us around that is unhealed. So we have to look at that and be prepared to see deeper into ourselves through as well, because this is really everything and everyone on some level is a mirror for us. Algorithmic amplification. The more emotional the reaction, the more the machine boosts it. Loosh harvesting. So this isn't about her, actually. It's about us, our collective nervous system reacting to extremes in a destabilized era. Guys, that is gold. That last sentence that I've just said, then I'm going to repeat it. This is about us, our collective nervous system reacting to extremes in this destabilized era. One thing they know is how to destabilize us. That wobbles us completely and we go, oh, freak out, and we start fighting with each other and blaming each other, right? So when we're looking at that, let's see how we are reacting to these situations. The internet amplifies that which shocks. It rewards that which destabilizes. It elevates what fractures the psyche. They're after that right now. Fractured psyche. Yeah. Anyway, Bonnie becomes a symbol long before, exactly, she's a symbol rather than a person. So let's look at the handler. Okay, and now we're looking at the handlers in this situation. Now, in my opinion, are the handlers generally people or some demonic entity? Not necessarily, right? It's almost never about one person acting alone. It's either a group of people or it's a system. So the shock persona of what is being put out there. Yeah, they definitely have managers, definitely. And that's what I'm saying. It's like in the background. So she's being used as the vessel, if you will. We are the batteries. So our response to this, or any of these great big, whether it's a very public situation, executions, attempted executions, all of these things, especially publicly, social media is really to get our loosh. That's what it is. Okay, so let's see that. Behind shock persona, there's always someone managing the content. Yes, a handler. Someone controlling the narrative. Yes. Someone monetizing our outrage. So think about that. We get outraged. We go to these sites. We watch. That's how they get monetized. That's how they also feed their own fears, right? Someone escalating the stakes. Handlers in this case are not necessarily kings in robes. They are marketers, content strategists, right? There's a lot of youngsters today, guys, who are very, very clever around this, and they are being used as well. Producers, exploiters, people who see the asset as a revenue stream. So the individual becomes the front face. So she's the face, and that's what I'm saying about Epstein as well. He's the face. He's just the face, right? The click generator. So of course they've got to use very pretty girls. You know, they're certainly not going to be using girls that are unattractive for the general public. they're going to use a girl that obviously is going to harvest some loosh, right? And they would have researched that already. And I think that takes me back to what I was saying earlier on about these two girls looking so similar. And that seems to be this long, blonde, beautiful girl with lots of curves. The chaos node, right? Absolutely. Chaos creates attention. The public sacrifice. The one who burns so the system profits. And the system feeds, not on the act, but on the heat the act creates. So it's the energy, the unseen. So now when we look at what was interesting for me, I mean, Janice, I hear you. She gets great support from her mom and her own father is a manager. Yeah, exactly. Now, isn't that even more appalling? Doesn't that just get our shock vibes even that much more out there? We're even more appalled by this despicable parental unit that is exploiting their child like that. That's exactly what I'm saying. They're going to push it. They're going to push it. And it's exactly when you think the story can't get worse, they're going to give you another narrative. But remember what we've just said here. They want you to have that reaction of shock and horror and disgust. They want you to do that. That's what they're harvesting. Your disgust, your judgment, your disbelief, your anger. That's what they're harvesting. So always remember when you see these things to start training our brains to go, oh, that's a psyop. Let me just step back and watch it as if it's a movie on a TV screen right now. But, so of course, you know me, I'm always going to go look for the energetic connections here. Regardless of the literal facts, the Bonnie Blue phenomenon plugs directly into ancient archetypes. The siren, a figure who draws thousands into fascination, fear, or desire. She does not seduce, she sucks. She'll take. She'll make sure. And yes, she can magnetize with that energy as well. I don't even know the song Ophelia, Ingrid. What is the song Ophelia? Grandma here doesn't listen to that, and I think it might be. Isn't that a Taylor Swift song? I don't know. I'm giving myself away here. If you can maybe give me more context, but I really don't listen to music on like this modern day music. To be perfectly honest with you, the Whore of Babylon, not a woman, but a symbol of a society overwhelmed by excess, desire, and collapse. She represents the collective shadow that is surfacing. The sacrificial vessel, a human being transformed into a symbol the crowd throws energy at. She carries the projections of thousands. So guys, I hope you're realizing what I'm saying about how this energy works, right? Because this is exactly how they harvest our energy. So I wanted to do like a really step-by-step breakdown on how that works and what these women are being used for. The egregore, a thought form fed by mass attention. When millions react emotionally, the narrative itself becomes a living, energetic entity. So that narrative, not her, the narrative, or not them, becomes the energetic entity. So Bonnie has become a cultural mirror, an archetypal vessel, because she's reflecting back to us, right? A lightning rod for shadow, and a node of collective energy discharge. This is how they enslave us. This is how they enslave us. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Sorry, guys, I'm going to go through the comments a bit later as well, because I know I'm missing some as I'm going through the stuff. So now let's look at the energy harvesting in these situations. Often it really has nothing to do with the act of sex, right? Although it activates all of our extreme base primal parts or aspects, right? So that's either fight, flight, or freeze. So the real harvest comes from the audience. Men generate arousal energy, shame, competitiveness, projection, obsession. So let's look at that. Now, obviously, her main audience is men, right? And women, of course, but she's luring in the men. So the men have that vital life force energy. Not only is it an energetic harvest, but I will guarantee you they're probably harvesting the sperm from those guys too. No doubt. Using it for who knows what. Projection, obsession. Women generate judgment, disgust, fascination, moral reflection, outrage. So the collective generates emotional voltage, psychic tension, viral shockwaves, mimetic heat. All of that, in other words, sending memes around or posts around or whatever. So all of that feeds in to this big fat energy system. In fact, I was watching Andrew Tate do an interview with her. She was on a show with Andrew Tate. And he said to her, well, I'm proud of you, you know. I mean, Andrew Tate, I've got to say, yeah, I've got questions there. But I found it fascinating. They're part of their conversation anyway, where he's saying, I'm proud of you. You know, you're talking body, positivity, etc., all of that. But he says, my daughters won't do that. She says, well, if you're not judging, why won't your daughters do that? He says, well, they're going to have proper male guidance. So yeah, there's that. And I think he has a point. So maybe part of Andrew Tate's purpose on this earth right now is to see so many lost women, because there's always questions about him as well, and to realize what women really need. And that is their fathers to love them, appreciate them, take care of them, and their mothers, obviously, but especially when we're looking at male energy, when they seek partners in life. That's very important that they had a good relationship with their dad, because that's what they're going to choose. Same vice versa as well. Right? So yeah, so the platforms and handlers, they harvest the clicks, monetization, data, emotional manipulation, visibility, power. But the real ritual is the human vessel provokes collective emotion. So that's what we're looking at here. They're going to do what it takes, how long it takes, how often it takes to evoke deep reactions out of this. So let us be aware. Let us know what's going on. But let us watch our reactions to things, guys, especially now. That's how they hook in our energy. And then, of course, what I had to do was check to see, like, this whole feud, because now again, look at the female. How many times are we made out to be catty and scratching each other's eyes out, right? Because we are just so jealous of each other. But I've got to say, I don't have that in my relationships with any of my friends. I'm not competitive with any of my friends. I'm competitive with myself. I make sure I need to do what I need to do. And if I don't do that, then I'm not happy with myself for sure. But competition is not something that I, especially in this arena where we're working, yeah, should be there, active, part of our what we're doing together. We should be working together, absolutely, as a collective, drawing together. So we're looking at now how they create this competition between these two women. So again, the online battles are designed to trigger outrage, lust, judgment, rivalry, moral panic, and fascination. Here these pregnant women are, after having slept with hundreds and thousands of men. No one knows whose baby it is. But hey, now watch the babies. These babies, they're going to be brought to stardom pretty soon. You can imagine. And as one of them was saying, I can't wait to live stream the birth of the baby either. Any opportunity to get a Loosh harvest is what they're taking. So if I look at the siren, in my opinion, the siren is not a woman. She's a symbol, a vessel, collective shadow gets poured into. So our unhealed wounds get poured into this collective big vessel. And those pained, unhealed energies take on a life of their own. And we've decided to call them the sirens, as if they're not part of us. If we are reacting to stuff like this in a disgusted way and horrified way, self-righteous way, no matter what way you're responding to this that's evoking a deep reaction, then siren energy exists in you. Does that mean you're the proverbial siren? No. Sirens are driven by pain. So many are, especially women who've been abused and unhealed, have unhealed wounds, will hold the siren energy. Because when you flip it around, it can be very manipulative, very devious, and can get very, very angry and take revenge in a very hectic way. So let's think about the ways that we take revenge. Let's think about the ways that we can manipulate. Not one of us here can say we don't manipulate on some level. Of course we do. If we go within, we're going to see that. So that's what the feud is, the hook, right? The audience is the audience reaction is the currency. So when these two are now feuding, we are now getting all invested in this argument about these two sirens fighting with each other, right? These immoral women now having poor babies that have no father and obviously going to be subjected to this. It's like, can you see all the energy, guys, that's being harvested here? It is ridiculous when you start seeing how they operate. So in the digital age, let's look at that. The siren is algorithmically boosted, scandal activated, polarizing on purpose, emotionally explosive by design. Emotions is the strongest fuel. And when your emotions are scattered all over, you're going to get nowhere. But when your emotions are strong, centered, and focused, it's like you that arrow, you know where you're going. And you don't lose direction. when your emotions are focused, when you're in your center, in your core, then these things can't even come close to you. But while we are still reacting to these types of situations, they are going to affect us and they are going to bring our vibration down, which is exactly by now what we know they want, right? And that's how they siphon us. Bonnie and Lily aren't functioning as people online. They are functioning as archetypes. Think about it in that, in the way that the system of the beast, because we're living in the system of the beast. The beast is a system. Yes, a couple of people need to take control of it, but we are in the system of the beast. So it's the rebel siren. What they represent is the rebel siren, fertility display, right? The taboo breaker and the outrage magnet. And yes, Ingrid, when you are in love, when you are coming from the place of love, that magnet cannot attract you anymore. Remember, your energy vibrates out of you like an invisible energy field around you, right? That no one sees, but it's coming from that which is within you. And that's like a magnet, which you're therefore going to attract or repel. Whatever you're attracting is stuff that is either in alignment with you, it always is in alignment with you, but perhaps there's something that you've got to look at in its opposite polarity as well, right? So the siren is never self-created, by the way. A siren is sculpted by audience demand and platform incentives. So when we look at the handler dynamic, we're talking about algorithms that reward escalation, followers who demand more shock, content managers who push personas further. So their managers, exactly, they're going to handle it. They're handlers. Agencies that monetize controversy, platforms that feed off viral chaos, social pressure that shapes identity. This is grooming by the system, not the individual. The system is using the individual to groom us and to groom our children. It's the beast system. These people aren't called assets for no reason. They are their assets to use whenever they want to, how they want to, and as often as they want to. And those of us who are now going to respond to that and take the bait, well, we're going to be playing in that pool for a while, in that swamp for a while. But when we see it for what it is, we can actually elevate above that. We then don't get sucked into the drama anymore, but you can see it for what it is. So in a world where boundaries have collapsed, for sure, the body becomes clickbait. And that's what it is. So when we also, just lastly, looking at pregnancies as a symbol, not scandal, whether staged or real, the pregnancies are functioning as narrative assets. Pregnancy in siren mythology symbolizes power, fertility, chaos, transgression, the breakdown of social norms, and the continuation of the archetype. So what that's saying is they're giving birth to more chaos, basically. There's more chaos being birthed. Whether these babies are real or not real, the symbology is that there's more chaos being birthed from this fiasco. And all these young women that are obviously being drawn and groomed to take that. And I have no doubt young men as well, and old men, any man really, who's now buying into that narrative who is partaking in that. Because remember, that's all about masturbation, ejaculation, lust. So they're completely harvesting the lust, the vitality, the seed, the energy of the male vitality as well. How many, what did a rabbi say? The rabbi, whatever his name is before, gosh, what's his name? I forget now. Say 64,000 visitors per minute to his porn sites. The rabbi is the owner of most porn sites in the world, boasting about it, that it's such a lucrative business. Guys, what does that say about us as a nation, actually? Gosh. Well, I'm definitely going to be talking more about this stuff, because all of this that we're talking about here today has to do with the lower triad. It's the lower chakras, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar plexus. The lower triad of us human beings that have not learned how to empower ourselves yet. And when we don't know, those are the chakras they access. When we're looking at SRA and child trauma, those are the energy points, those are the chakras that are being traumatized. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. I'm doing a lot of stuff on solutions with Chanti about this. So if you haven't already, subscribe to that channel. Especially in the new year, we're talking a lot about this and reclaiming our spiritual gifts, reclaiming our symbols, because for as long as we believe that being psychic or having spiritual gifts is evil, they've got you. Those gifts are ours. How can we not see that when we see what they're doing to kids every single day? How they're robbing kids and weaponizing kids of their own spiritual gifts. How do we not think that they are stealing something which is sacred to each and every one of us? It's given to us by our Creator. It is ours to reclaim. And when your body is when you've moved through the stages of healing, consciousness, evolution within yourself, and I'm not talking about from monkey to man, I'm talking about you as a person that evolves, these gifts start unlocking naturally. The gifts they force out of the kids in the Montauk chair, these gifts start unlocking naturally when you are ready. And it has nothing to do with forced spirituality or trauma or torture. We can't think that they've stolen everything from us. Our symbolism. That's why I know the symbol of the Ankh is a very, very controversial symbol. I will show you what the Ankh truly is. It is you. Your body is in the resonance of the Ankh. It's not evil, but what they've done is they've used it for evil to usurp the human power with the Ankh. So that's why it's been demonized. And if you guys are ready to wake up to the truth, this is the sort of stuff we start taking out of our consciousness and start realizing they've distorted and twisted everything. It's time we took it back. And we start doing that by reclaiming our sovereignty, our power, our spirituality, who we really are. Nothing that is taught to you by anyone, forced into you by anyone. It's something that lives in your heart and you express that. That's where we get to. And my wish for all of us in this community is that we get there. Because God knows we deserve it. We've been through enough. So join us, as we progress onto Solutions with Chanti. If you haven't caught any of our shows there with Beverly Rhodes yet, spiritual forensics, we're looking at criminal cases as well, murders, unalivings, stuff like that, with spiritual eyes. So Beverly and I use our combined gifts and we look at what the truth is behind these situations. And again, this is for us to realize that when we use our gifts in the way that God intended them, there's nothing evil about that. You've just got to learn how to control and how to focus that without having fear that anyone has that power over you. It's beautiful when you do. It sure is. Anyway, guys and girls, I will see you probably shortly with Danny again. You're going to be seeing me with Danny at 4 o'clock, which is 45 minutes from now. And then again with Jesse later in the Harry Potter decode. So I will send you so many blessings. There's actually 53 watching, but we're watching on different channels. So 44, but that's cool. 44 is good. Like, share, subscribe, everybody. Let's get this information out there. Let's get people talking. Let's start having conversations about these things. Let's not just see it and avoid it and think it's appalling or I'm not seeing it. Let's acknowledge what's out there. Let's see what they're doing, but let's become healthy. Let's get healthy around these topics. Let's talk about them. Let's see how they affect us. If it affects us badly, that's your opportunity to heal. Everything that affects you badly is your opportunity to heal. And to heal means you simply get back into balance. So the very thing you're not liking is the very thing you need to sit with and pray about and say, yes, God, I'm ready to face it. Not, God, please take this terrible person away from me. God doesn't do that. God takes you the situation, brings you a situation so that you can face it. And in this time, how do you do it differently? How do you transcend, or how do you work through the situation that you have run away from 7 million times in the past? Why does it keep reoccurring in your life? Let's start looking at that. Everybody, I love you madly. Tell me our gifts are not evil. And yes, we all have demons, people. We all have demons, Siren. Thank you. We face the demon within. And when we see the demon, when we face the demon, and we look into the demon's eyes, guess whose eyes they are? Yours. It's parts of you that need love, reintegration, compassion, healing, all of these things. You may email me. Yes, you may email me indeed. We will be having more shows like this, and I'm going to be doing masterclass next year on Solutions with Chanti. And thank you so much. I appreciate your energy as well. I love everybody's energy. Yeah, thank you for being here. Appreciate you supporting our shows. And for those of you who are ready to start flipping the grid, because that's what we are doing. You see, we don't fight with that type of aggression, chop, chop, murder. We flip the grid. We do so with consciousness. We can do so by understanding spiritual alchemy. Energy can never be created or destroyed, only ever transferred or transformed. And what do we try and do? We try and destroy energy and chop it away and say, go away. If it's come into your path, there's a reason it's entered your path. You've attracted it there. And then you got to ask yourself, why? What do I need to learn through this? And when you start changing in that way, life becomes a very different experience. God bless you all. Take good care of yourselves. I'll see you back in a very short time with Danny. I love ya. Okay, bye. Be cool. I forgot to say it. Be cool. Be kind. Mwah. Bye, everybody.